Hi, I'm Chaz Fliy and the founder of Colouring Culture. In April 2020, we set a task to create the first adult Sikh colouring book to help people with mental health and promote relaxation and mindfulness. Because of your donations and support, we are pleased to announce that the book is finally ready, and today we are celebrating its launch. We will hear from the artists, the contributors, and a few ambassadors who have helped in a pivotal role to help develop this book to where it is today. Please support the project and purchase the book by visiting coloringculture.com. Remember, with every book sold, we are giving back a book to a child in a lesser privileged area, and in this project, we are focusing in the region of Punjab. So why is this book important, and why is it important to me? The project began as a passion project, and I quickly realized that it was more than that. I wanted to build a project as a collective community and give back to those who really need the support. That was the artists, and that was to the elderly and those who are suffering a new illness of anxiety and dealing with new mental health issues. I wanted people to find a new way to release feelings and emotions and connect to their creative self. The journey has been incredible. The project has included the amazing talents that we have in our Sikh community, including the Singh twins, Satpal Singh, Vic Kent, Jasprit Kaur, only to name a few. The aim was to create a beautiful book with detailed illustrations accessible to all people. The copy content teaches how we can live a much fuller life and with more mindfulness towards a journey of connecting to oneness. The project factors social good elements by giving back to communities positively, mentally and physically.
Often when we talk about mental health, you'll hear the statistics that 1 in 3 of us suffer from mental health issues. But I really want to reframe that conversation and for us to think about mental health in a different way. Mental health is a one-in-one issue. Each and every single one of us have it. If you think of it in the same way as our physical health, it's something that we need to look after. It's something that we need to nurture. So we need to reframe how we understand mental health because it is something each and every single one of us need to be working with. And for me personally, the arts has honestly helped my mental health so much. I often talk about how the arts and poetry in fact saved my life. At a time when I wasn't able to access other mental health services, I was using art as a form of therapy. Art provides a sense of calm, it provides a sense of solace, and there's even been research to back this up. The Arts and Wellbeing Foundation did some research back in 2017 that found that using the arts and poetry and drawing and colouring and all these amazing things that make up the art world, and using those things as a form of therapy can actually help people with depression and anxiety. And not only can it help us all as individuals, but it can actually help the NHS in the way that it would save the NHS £200,000 a year. So let's reframe how we think about mental health. It's something that each and every single one of us have, and it's something each and every single one of us need to nourish.
Hi, my name is Lorani Kaur and I am one of the artists that's been a part of this project. To me, this project has been quite important and I feel it is a project that's been much needed for quite some time now. I think it's important to shed light on Sikhi as there's been quite a lot of confusion in the media as to who Sikhs are and what this religion is. So to me, it's a really good way of being able to spread something positive in both an educational way and also a very interactive manner as well, and also spread the positivity of Sikhs and Sikhi's teachings. I think for me personally, one of the most important aspects was learning more about my own religion. Even though I've grown up Sikh and I've been heavily involved in the Sikh community, I feel like Sikhi is such a deep religion with so much detail that it's almost easy just to focus on the two aspects that mainly looked at when you think of Sikhi, which is usually Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and everything in between is usually not given as much importance. So I feel for me personally, that journey, being a part of a project like this has allowed me to grow and actually be more interested in the other aspects. So in that sense, it's really been something of personal growth to me as well. And then secondly, it's also reminded me of my childhood, of some of the stories and the kahanis that my parents and especially my grandma would tell me when I was a little baby, as bedtime stories. I think another really important element, as I mentioned before, was also the social element and being able to spread more awareness about Sikhi, as it is a fairly new religion. But I think as it's a colouring book, it's really also good for mental health. And I think we really need to focus more on mental health. And it is something that's becoming more widely known and more widely accepted. And I truly feel that colouring, even though it sounds so childish, and something that you think, okay, you know, we just give it to our children as time pass, I truly do think that colouring with an educational element and also interactive element really does help calm the mind, and just a different sense of peace. I know we're talking about this book, and I know it's a Sikh colouring book in a sense, and we are trying to spread a positive message, but I think one of the main positive messages is that we need to look after our mental health. So I think there's a lot of good and positivity that's come out from this project. Like I said, one of the main is obviously the social element, but also I want to put emphasis on the mental health aspect as well. So there's been a lot of hard work, teamwork. The sun is in my face. And if you would like to purchase this book with all the amazing works of all of the amazing artists, as well as myself, no, I'm kidding. And if you would like to buy this book featuring all of the amazing artists that I worked with, then please visit www.coloringculture.com, and that's colouring with an OU for all of my American friends. Hi,
I'm Jagdeep Singh. I'm the owner of Fliy. We're a large format fine art print company based here in the UK. When I was first approached about the project, my initial thought on this was, you know what, the secret of living is giving. And these are one of the key values for us in our business. And I just felt blessed being given an opportunity to get involved in this project. I think the importance of mental health is to understand your own state, where you are. And in order to do that, you need to really understand where you are in your life and understand a little bit more what you're surrounded by. And I normally say, it's what you're surrounded by is what you're affected. So if you're surrounded by negativity, you need to get out of that state. People do need to think about mental health, especially within our own Asian culture, in our own community. I think for years, it's just been kind of ignored and left aside. As us, as responsible adults in the community, need to do something about it and get involved. On a creativity level, for one's mental health especially, it's really important. We have found, especially during COVID, during the lockdown, many artists have stepped up their game. A lot of people have started to spend time alone, which has allowed them to think a little bit more. Supporting a project, if you're given an opportunity, I don't think you should be thinking twice, because when you're presented with an opportunity to support a cause or a project, you should jump at it. It's a blessing in disguise. I always look at it as everything is a karma. It comes to your doorstep for a reason. Like I said to you before, the secret of living is giving. The more I can give, the better I feel. And that's me in my mental health being perfect. The colouring culture is absolutely phenomenal. It's a book that's been produced to a level where it's giving the person who's investing that time, not monetary investment, but time in learning about their own culture, and making it more fun. For me, it's a real educational tool. It's allowed me to be able to educate my children, a younger generation, with content that, to be honest, hasn't been available like this in the modern era. You could do your bit by donating the books to people, or even gift it to someone. How about making that into a Christmas present this year, or the new Vasaki present? At Fliy, our top value is about giving, where we can help artists elevate them to another level, take them to a level where they would have never thought they would have been able to, exposing their work to various galleries they wouldn't have imagined to. And this is all done through us just by giving.
Hi guys, I'm Chaz Fliy, and today I am with the beautiful and lovely, talented Jaspreet Kaur behind the Nitra. And today we're going to talk about her journey, her involvement in the project, and what she's up to in the creative world. Welcome, Jaspreet Kaur.
Hi, Chaz. Thank you
So
for having me.
let's start with, I've just mentioned behind the Nitra, but for those of the viewers or the listeners that don't know much about you, where have you been, number one, but what is behind the Nitra?
So, Behind the Netra is, in fact, the poetry name that I have for myself, the stage name that I've been using for the last 4 or 5 years. And what Behind the Netra means is, well, Netra is, in fact, a Sanskrit word that I came across a couple years ago. I've always been fascinated in linguistics as a poet. So I came across this one word, and it just fascinated me that it had thousands of different interpretations. But what it really came down to is that behind the netra is kind of like this idea of behind our third eye.
Wow.
Or when we meet another individual or meet another person, really looking beyond this outer exterior and looking at who we are beyond our eyes, because netra is usually associated with eyes. So that saying of our eyes are the window to our soul, and kind of all those different meanings are all encompassed into this one word. And I just found it fascinating. So that's where the brand and the name of Behind the Netra came from, because not only my poetry, but everything that I do in education and in activism as well is discovering who we are behind the Netra.
Wow.
So that's where it began.
Well, you've been a poet as long as I remember, but what got you into poetry? Because to be fair, it's not something that you hear many Asians doing, many female Asians, doing spoken word poetry.
Yeah.
What was your journey into it? Was it someone you were inspired by? Was it all of a sudden you went, oh, poetry's my thing? Were you great at English in school? What was your journey?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I think people assume that poetry, or spoken word poetry more specifically, is something new to us, specifically in the South Asian community. But poetry is very much a part of our history and our heritage, especially in the Sikh community. If you think about our Bani and our scripture, it's all written in poetic form. So it's very much been a part of who I am, and being a Sikh Punjabi woman, it's very much part of our history. But for me personally, the story began back when I was about 13. And at that point, I didn't even know I was writing poetry, to be completely honest. I was writing into a journal that I still have till this day. And it was a way for me to just express a lot of the emotions I was bottling in at that time as a teenager. And what I now understand is that I was suffering from anxiety attacks, and I was suffering from depression, and had no one to let it out to and no one to speak to. So I was using poetry as my outlet, as my form of therapy, and throughout my teenage years continued writing. And it was something I kept to myself. So I had hundreds and hundreds of poems that I just kept in these journals and never shared with anybody. And it was only about 5 years ago that I decided to step on a stage. It was an event in West London, and decided to start sharing this poetry with the world, because I just felt I got to a point that I felt that I can't be alone in this. I can't be the only one feeling these things and thinking these things. Maybe if I share it on this one night, let's see what happens. Either it goes really well, or it goes terribly wrong and I never do it again, and I run back home and never share anymore. But the most amazing thing happened. I shared poetry on that night, and it connected not only with everybody in that audience that night, but a video was recorded of that performance, which went viral the next day. And that's where the Behind the Netra journey began, and I haven't stopped since.
And another reason why Jaspreet has joined as an ambassador on the Colouring Culture journey is that you are an advocate of mental health. You live it, you've experienced it, you talk about it. And I love the approach that you take with mental health, because I see it the same way. We always look at mental health as someone else's problem, someone else has it, but no, we are a part of this. We are a part of the problem. We don't address our own mental health.
Yeah.
We always think it's someone else's issue. What's your thoughts on that? And then, further on to that, when you got involved in the project and knew it was a mental health project, why did you get involved?
Yeah, I think first of all, just with the mental health within our community and within society as a whole, the way that we talk about mental health is still so stigmatized and still such a taboo. And I think we need to get to a point where we're talking about it in the same way that we do our physical health and our physical fitness.
Agreed, yeah.
So talking about mental health in a way that we're talking about our mental fitness. How can we be nourishing our mental health in the same way we would our physical bodies? And I feel arts is a way to do that. And that's why when I heard about colouring culture and when you asked for us to come on board, it just made complete sense to me, because for me personally, I've been using the arts as a way to nourish my mental health since I was 13. And I know personally how much of a difference it's made for me. And obviously I talk about it quite openly now that the arts did save my life at a time where I couldn't access any other mental health services or therapy or counselling. Art was all I had. And at 18, when it was at its worst point and my depression was at its worst point, I turned to the pen, and I have ever since. So I personally know how much of a difference it can make. So being a part of this project and hopefully seeing how it can help others as well is honestly a blessing for me and an honour for me to be a part of it.
Hi guys, I'm Manita and I'm an ambassador of the Colouring Culture book. I am super excited about this book. When I first heard about it, it had me uber excited. As a child, I've grown up being very expressive with myself, and creativity was my route to expressing my feelings, who I am. And this book is so brilliant. I absolutely love the concept behind it. It is so encouraging to other people, for children, for adults, for people from around the world and different cultures to be able to really, tune in and connect with their creativity. Not only does it have a history behind it and some intricate artwork and the amazing people behind this book, but it also has a bit of you in it. Once you put your hand to paper and you start colouring in, I truly believe that you're expressing yourself in your own way through each individual image that will be replicated through thousands of other people that are going to be colouring in as well. But this will be something that's very close to your heart. Growing up in an Indian family, I was always given the freedom to do what I want, and I guess culture and society always made me feel I had to pursue my career in something that was more academic. And as much as that is very valued, for me it was something that wasn't quite connecting to me. Any kind of creativity, and especially the colouring book, I genuinely, hand on heart, feel that this is a great opportunity for everyone from each background, every society, to not only educate yourselves but just to help yourselves as well, and do it in an enjoyable way. I urge you to get those Christmas lists out, those Diwali present lists, the birthday presents, everything that we always struggle to think of or what to get the person. I think this would be a valued present that you could receive from anyone, or anyone can receive from you. So if you go on to www.colouringculture.com, make that purchase not once, not twice, but trillions of times, and help all those people around you.
There you go, you can open them.
Wow. Oh, that looks so good. Feels good too. I really like this Mata Gujri because she actually looks like a grandmother.
Yeah.
She looks like one of our grandmothers. Even some of these translations, they're so much better than, they're so close to what the original is, using some of that poetry. So Guru Tegh Bahadur, Guru Gobind Singh Ji writes about his beheading. And like the last line, it says, hai sab jag payo, jai 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 surlok. So you can see that there's a poetry in there. Look at that image. It just stands out a mile. This is good stuff, man. I'm really excited about this. This is awesome. Have you ever stopped to gaze at the stillness of the tree? Nowhere to go, but simply just be, watching its children be born and die, giving shelter to all the passers-by, all the while standing tall with head held high, praising the master of earth and sky. O mind, can't you for a moment sit and see the glorious stillness of the tree.
Well, I think when you approached us about the concept behind what you were trying to do, we immediately identified with it. And obviously, if you identify with something, it becomes something you do naturally want to support. So prior to this project, we have had some experience of this whole notion of how art and culture connects to mental health and well-being when we were asked to be ambassadors for Liverpool's Decade of Health and Wellbeing. And so we were kind of forced to think about it at that time. And of course, it is, art and culture has been proven to be something that does improve, your mental state, your physical state. It can build your self-confidence. As you say, it gives you that sense of being able to express yourself, freely, where in other ways that in scenarios where you otherwise wouldn't be able to do that. So yeah, we spot on when you kind of told us about the project. We were immediately there with you on that same page. We understood entirely where you were coming from, and as I say, I think as artists, we've always felt that with the skills that we have, it shouldn't always be about us and what we want to do. We should also look to how we can use those skills to help other people. And this project fits, dovetails perfectly within that context as well. Art is a great way of storytelling in many ways, bringing out stories or bringing out ideas, encouraging people to talk about certain things maybe that they might feel uncomfortable about talking about or not want to face. We also talked about the idea of building self-confidence and pride in one's own traditions. So through storytelling with art, you can create images that do become inspirational for the people that are looking at them. And a lot of this project has been about creating drawings that are to do with people within our own Sikh heritage and also values that we hold within our own Sikh heritage. And I think when you pass those values and histories on to the people that are going to be engaged with that art, they can have a very positive impact on their perspective in life and how they view themselves against other people. And that in itself can be a very uplifting experience. You can encourage people too also to be more involved with their own culture. And also, this colouring book isn't just something we don't see it as something that's just for the Sikh community. So it's something that also has a value in terms of informing those outside of our heritage what Sikhism is about. It's a universal message. So that's a kind of another plus for the whole project. Well, one of the pieces we've done is it's titled Nirmala's Wedding because it's based on a painting of ours called Nirmala's Wedding. And it represents the traditions of, the value of family and community and the sanctity of marriage within the Sikh faith. And it's really an image that shows a positive side to Asian culture. And so we chose that because, again, it links back to our own personal experience of growing up as young Asians in Britain, being told that our traditional values, Indian values, have no place here in British society, and not just that they have no place, but being devalued within society, always being demeaned within the media, for example. And also the kind of questions that we used to get going to school, are you Indian or are you British? What a ridiculous question. To us, it was always, well, of course we're both. Whoever analyses what you are, you grow up being who you are and what you are. But somehow, our white peers always looked at us as something completely different to what they were, who they were. And this particular artwork was therefore not just about expressing something positive about our culture to show people around us, look, this is what Asianness is about. It's not all about the negative stereotypes that you see in the press or on the television. It was also an artwork that was showing how East and West can sit comfortably side by side. So there are elements of it that are very traditional, but then you have little hints of how Indian culture meets Western culture with figures in the foreground, for example, of the main scene, which is showing a bride having henna applied by her sisters. And in front of them, you have two little children who are playing with, the kind of Batman car and the Jasmine doll, these sort of symbols of Western culture and identity. And it's also an artwork which makes a political statement. And our artwork has always been about politics and society and sort of commenting on that. So we wanted our drawing within the book to express that element of our work. And it does that through a little view through a window which appears in the background of this happy family scene, if you like, which is really a view that has symbols of what we see as sort of the onslaught of Western globalization, and so-called Western progress, and the negative impact that can have on society and indeed the globe,
and particularly indigenous kind of peoples.
Yeah, well. and how they represent the biggest threat to the survival of the many traditions that not just we as Indians, but many traditional cultures hold dear. So for all those reasons, we felt this would be an important artwork. We wanted it to be something that people could enjoy colouring in, but also would make them think a little bit, and hopefully when they look at the details of what they're actually colouring, perhaps they start to wonder about what each of those elements means, and they can relate to them in their own different ways, in their own way.
So that's more of a kind of social political outlook of ours. But I think we picked three. I think one was a more religious theme, one was a historical, and one was the more kind of secular theme. And I think that just reflects the different aspects of our work. So
and of Sikhism as well. You have that secular and sacred outlook that we hold hand in hand. So in a way, the selection of three works kind of complements that. I mean, the religious one, for example, is an image of Guru Amar Das Ji, and it's called Guru Amar Das Destroys the Five Vices. And it's really all about the kind of battle in life that we all face. It shows him on a horse killing the five human vices, and as the things that keep us all from attaining spiritual enlightenment, because they keep us rooted in this material world and a false sense of, kind of permanence and individuality. And so that's very much a work that is quite deep in many ways. It is about Sikh theological perspectives. And then the other,
and we haven't done many works actually based specifically on Sikh scriptures, so we thought it would be nice to actually include one of those in the book.
And then the final work is a purely historical piece, which is about Rani Sahib Kaur, and looking at her as the subtitle of that is Rani Sahib Kaur, a leader of men, because reading up on her history, she was someone who was very much literally a leader of men. She led men onto the battlefield where other men, such as her brother, failed to do so. And in that sense, she's a really strong, positive role model. I'm not going to say female role model for female. She's a positive role model, full stop. Of someone who's principled and fearless. And I think there's a caption or a phrase within the artwork that we wanted to include that we'd read about her in history, where she was trying to inspire the men on the battlefield, saying that that the Guru Sikhs don't basically they don't run away, they don't surrender. And it occurred to us that is a message that isn't just valid within the context of warfare, but it's something that is valid within life. That whatever you do in life, whatever you take on in life, we shouldn't run away from it. We should face it and do the best that we can and strive to be the best that we can. So I'm not sure if that description's going into the book, but it's certainly what we were thinking when we were selecting what to put within the details within the work. And there are other details within that piece that also allowed us to really celebrate our Punjabi cultural heritage. So there are aspects of the decorative details, for example, which reference the Fulkari embroidery tradition or the Kashmiri shawl tradition, for example, and then also decorative elements that draw on the beautiful architectural details of the royal buildings of Patiala, which was the royal state that Rani Sahib Kaur was actually from herself. I mean, our work is known for its detailed decoration.
We've done a lot of black and white work,
but also its colour.
Yeah,
but seeing a previously coloured work, as in Nirmala's wedding painting, and Guru Amar Das Destroys the Five Vices, but again, which was based on a previous painting, seeing them translated into line somehow gets you to see the details in a new way and absorb the details much more than seeing the. I think you kind of get mesmerised by the colour maybe, or too much to look at all in one plane. But it's really been enjoyable creating those as line drawings and seeing them through a different set of eyes, really. It's been a privilege, really, and also it's been a privilege working with all the other artists, because we've had a sneak preview of some of the works, and they are amazing, and we actually can't wait to get the book ourselves. Start colouring in, breathtaking. It's really wonderful, because most of them I think are a lot younger than us, dare I say. So it's really wonderful for us to see the younger generations so involved and so talented and engaged in the arts, and taking serious careers in the arts, which wasn't few and far between when we started off. So that's been very inspiring for us and very rewarding for us, and it's kind of been a different approach as well, because we're so used to working with each other. The Singh twins, we collaborate all the time. but we very rarely get the chance to collaborate with other
Third
creatives
parties.
on, you know, wider projects, and you know, that's been brilliant.
They're amazing illustrations. They're the type of illustrations that we wish had been available when we were in terms of the younger audience. You know, the intricacy of the illustrations and the complexity and the you know, the narrative behind the illustrations. They're not just having something that's going to give them hours and hours of pleasure in terms of creatively, but also mentally as well. They're going to, you know, learning about the history and stories behind each of the artworks.
I think for people who are already into art, they should buy it because it's going to be a real challenge for them. I mean, the drawings, all of them, because they're for adults, and because all of us, I think, who are on the team have a certain technical skill that we want to create the best images we can. They're all very detailed, decorative, very challenging works. I think people that are into art should buy it for the challenge. And I think people who are not into art should buy it because I think it will really change their perspective on what art is about and what it can do for you as an individual. And no other reason. That's it. If for no other reason, just buy it.
Hey guys, my name's Tubbs. I've been in the industry for 36 years. When I talk about industry, I'm talking about the AV industry. I own the studio. Anyway, I just want to talk to you about colouring culture, and especially the Sikh colouring book. I got involved in this project, and it's a fantastic project. It's connecting people to cultures, and the first one is the Sikh culture. And one of the things I really kind of pulled me towards this was, if you think about drawings, they're primal. They've been around from the beginning of time, and we look back at those drawings and we say, oh God, look, you know, people have drawn pictures or they've drawn their hands on rocks many thousands and thousands of years ago. They loved it then. We loved it as kids, and we still love it now. So for me, this project is something that's going to really awaken us, connect us, and show us about each other's cultures. When I kind of look at the team that I've built over 36 years, you kind of look at who they are outside of what they do, the normal day life, and then you look at who they are on the weekends when they're able to become creative. What I find is that on the weekends they're happy, smiling, excited, and on the weekday they're miserable and I don't want to be around them. Mental health is a key issue, especially since we've come out of the COVID, which we haven't, Boris. But the real story here is connecting to our creativity, connecting to our inner child, bringing that out again. It takes us to a happy place, and if we're happy, that's got to be a good mental place to be.
I think looking at the other artists, that was phenomenal, you know, and you have to put in 110% in what you do. And if you don't, you know, it won't show as much. But in regards to the other artists, their work is phenomenal. And it opens your eyes, because then it challenges you that, okay, you need to do better. Keep striving for more, because then you have no limits. I thought I'd do something good, but yeah, seeing their work is blowing me away, honestly. They've taken it to another level. And I'd done a piece previously in regards to Paikane and the way that they're so Guruji through everyone. So I just wanted to kind of replicate that one, because that was a piece that I did just from my own design and creation. In regards to the other two, you know, yeah, Guru Ramdas ji, and obviously they did the lava, and I just wanted to try and show that in the image with the two people sitting there, and then the whole Harmandir side that was created, and I just tried to do it in a nice illustrative form, where you can see them, you know, as they're sitting there, they're writing, you know, what the lava could have potentially been, with obviously the husband and wife sitting there, you know, at their feet, because at the time it's not Guru Granth Sahib Ji that you're sitting with, is with Guruji themselves. So I just try to show that through the sketch. And I remember getting told about Guru Tegh Bahadur's story, and it really touched me. to the point where obviously tears and you start welling up and, feeling berag. And the fact that, it was so selfless what Guru Gobind Singh Ji did, that they said to their father, and you can see in their eyes that they were like, you go and help these Hindus. Don't worry about your family. You need to do this. That's your duty. Your duty on earth is to help people. And I try to, come across that message through this illustration. I think there are many reasons why, this book should be published, not in just schools, but people should be buying and, trying to contribute in any way possible. I've been trying to do it myself, telling my friends here and there. And like their kids, their daughters and sons, like they're all into sketching and drawing and stuff like that. And they were more than helpful. They were like, yeah, of course, like let us know as soon as we'll buy it. And it's great because then not only are your kids learning, or you're as an adult you're learning that take away from the world and stop getting bogged down in all your problems and just sit there and be with yourself for a bit. Maybe you start thinking in a different way instead of all the problems that's going on in your house or outside or work stress or anything. You can sit there and just by maybe coloring and putting your dhyan into coloring Guruji or something, maybe something will spark for you. Maybe it'll put you in a better place. You never know what will come out of it, but it's a really good idea. It's an amazing project. I'm so thankful and lucky to be a part of it. Thanks to yourself, Chaz. And and I'm just really humbled that I hope it does impact a lot of people's lives, and it's only there to bring goodness into the world.
I can't call in sad. It's not like I can fake cough down the phone and say, I won't be able to make it in because I'm feeling a bit low today. Depression never worked like that. As a matter of fact, it worked in its own way, as if everything was the end of the world, chaos unfolds. No inconvenience ever seemed like a minor inconvenience, just pure deviance. It felt like the sky was falling, like my skin was crawling. Anxiety will make your world dramatic like that. Like a silent film staged underwater, all in slow motion. It's not like I can pop to the pharmacy and ask for a magic potion. It's hard to get sympathy for something you cannot see. So maybe one day, after more poems, more forums, and more discussions from celebrities, and less shunning and shaming and less stigma-ridden slurs, a voice crying with anxiety will actually be heard.
I think for me, spirituality has always been something that I've tried to apply in my own life first, and now that I get the opportunity to sort of travel the world and teach people about this, is really because it's had an impact on my life. It's something that has changed my life. For me, meditation, the words of the Guru, how you use the techniques that the Guru teaches is really just something that I've tried to apply in my life. And when I've seen how much benefit it's given me in my personal life, how much it's been able to transform my ability to just deal with day-to-day problems, that's really the inspiration for me when I go out there and try and just help other people. And I'm not going from the perspective of a scholar. I'm not going from the idea that I'm an expert in something. The idea is just, hey, this stuff really can change your life. It's changed mine, and I'm just an ordinary person, so it can change everyone else's as well. It really does cross all boundaries. It really is for every man, woman, and child. I'm always saying this is so much beyond any religion or culture or language. This is really just about understanding your mindset as a person. So that to me is the inspiration. How many lives can we touch with this wisdom? To me, art therapy is something that's so new, cutting edge. And when I heard that you were working on a project to bring art therapy to the Sikh world, to combine that ancient Sikh wisdom that I'm so passionate about with something that so many people are doing in the modern day now. And I just thought that's a perfect combination. That was something that I thought, yes, no one has done this before. This is a project that absolutely needs to be done. And when you told me that you were having all of these beautiful images, I knew where my place was going to be, in that I knew straight away I wanted to be the person that helped to combine the wisdom of the gurus with the art therapy, with the imagery, with the analogies that are already in there. Because Guru Granth Sahib has so many beautiful analogies. There's so much beauty in the language and so many examples of animals and colors and things like that. And I knew that there would be a really good synergy between some of the imagery that you were thinking of and some of the examples and the analogies that are used in Gurbani. And I knew that I could kind of help bridge that gap a little bit. I think mental well-being is the number one most important thing that we need to be looking after in our life, because it impacts everything else. I think about how my life as a parent is, and I know that when I'm not having a good day, I take it out on my kids. Or if something happens at work, I tend to carry that, and if I'm not able to deal with that, if I'm not able to process that, then I bring that home with me, and then that has a knock-on effect on how I deal with other people. I know that when there is something that has happened to me in the past and I've not been able to process it, that lingers on for sometimes weeks or months or years, and sometimes unconsciously that's just niggling away at me. That's something that means that I'm creating a barrier or a block in my life, and I'm not having a great experience of life now. And I think if you teach people how to sort their own mental well-being out, what you allow them to do is you allow them to free themselves from these burdens that are weighing them down that they don't even know that they're carrying. And as soon as you help them lift those burdens, what you allow them to do is you allow them to experience the beauty of life as it's happening right now. And people don't necessarily know to see life as beautiful, to see that every moment is sacred. Every breath that you take is precious. And we have so many gifts that are coming to us every moment, and we don't see them because our mind is just heavy and burdened with all of these problems that we're just carrying. So mental well-being is not just some hippie lala kind of thing that's happening out there that you just need to apply in your life. It's really just about, how are you dealing with this moment? How are you experiencing life? Are you experiencing the best version of this moment that you can?
The arts are extremely important because it provides a channel and opportunity to discuss some of the most challenging topics facing our society today, including mental health. And it's often a very softer entry point to some of these topics that people may not want to discuss in a normal setting. This initiative is really, really important to support because it provides an opportunity for artists to showcase their work, and also for you as an individual to benefit from creative self-expression and using art as a form of mental health therapy. This initiative is extremely important to support. We as South Asians have a strong cultural heritage and identity with this project, and also mental health is becoming increasingly important for our global society today. By becoming a patron for this project, you can buy the book at www.coloringculture.com. You can like and share, and you can share the details of this project with your family and friends. By doing that, you're creating an ecosystem, you're supporting the artists, you're creating awareness for them so that they can create a sustainable career in this industry. And also you can benefit by understanding more about the arts and also using creative self-expression to improve your mental well-being.
I'm Chaz Fliy from Colouring Culture, and I'm really excited to announce my next guest, which is Indy Houthi. I've known him for many years, and I'm really excited that he's joined me, not only a part of the project, but today to spend some time so we get to know who Indy Houthi is and how much of a contribution he's made to the creative sector for the Sikh community and other communities around him. Welcome, Indy Houthi.
Thanks, Chaz. Thanks for having me.
I'd love to start with, look, I know so much about you, and I'm sure people know of you, but they don't know really who you are and what you do, because I know you have a very corporate background, and then you have a love for the arts, because you've put on so many exhibitions. You've helped artists actually really profile themselves in a really good professional way. Your vision of seeing how a product or someone or a project can be is impeccable. It's second to none. So you joining on the project has been a blessing. But tell us about, your life as an economist, right? That's your background. How have you become someone who studies economy and, consulting and working with big team projects, getting into the arts and the humanitarians part of yourself? How have you got there?
If I would sum myself up in one way, it would be that I'm an economist by profession, humanitarian by passion, but also a love for the arts, right? And a love for supporting people around me. And so my career started off in the corporate space, and it's really about understanding systems and how the economy works and how different stakeholders work together, right? And throughout that journey, quite early on, I spent a considerable amount of time living in Southeast Asia and Thailand. I was competing in Thai boxing there over a decade ago now. It feels like a different life. But during that time, when I was living with that local family there, I met so many artists who were struggling with their careers, who in that environment didn't necessarily have a market for their artwork. So then all of a sudden their families and their friends around them would say, why are you pursuing a career in this arts? It's not of value to you. And you could tell for those individuals, it was everything about them. It was every fiber of their being, right? And I spent a lot of time with them, and I realized at that point, I said to myself personally that one day I'd find a way to help. And it was through my professional career, when I then started working in the City of London as an economist, as a strategy consultant, that I saw that gap, I saw that opportunity there, that we could create a platform to find emerging artists, to showcase their work, to hold exhibitions, to create a platform just for them to have a sustainable career. And that's when the social enterprise Fliy was born, and that's where we started to do a lot of work with supporting artists and hosting exhibitions and giving them that guidance and support around how they can showcase their work and really and truly create a sustainable career.
When it comes to funding a project, why is it hard for people to fund things of the arts? Why is it harder to support creative projects or things to do with mental health, especially in a community which is always so giving for everything else? And what was your perspective on it and why did you want to get involved in the project?
So when I saw the campaign for Colouring for Culture, I thought, this is an absolutely fantastic idea, right? You're bringing together artists, you're talking about social issues, specifically around mental health, using creative self-expression, and you're also providing a platform for those artists and for people to engage with those artists. So I thought it's a fantastic initiative. And I watched the Kickstarter campaign, and the support there was growing, and it plateaued at some point. And at that point, for me, it really struck a chord that why is this plateauing here, right? Why is it there's a slight pause here? And I'd seen this before previously in working in this industry and being in the creative industry, that sometimes there's a lack of appreciation for the arts, right? There, especially in the South Asian community, and also sometimes there's a lack of appreciation of how nuanced and how challenging mental health can be, right? And so for me, it was that personal piece of actually we've got to change the narrative on this conversation. So great, I personally contributed because I felt I needed to. I'm the type of person that I feel that you can only demonstrate your values and who you are as a person through your actions, rather than just saying you're doing it. You actually have to do it. You actually have to walk the walk, right? But at the same time, I've experienced it myself, and especially within the South Asian community, there isn't that appreciation for the arts. And personally, how I see it is that you've got these artists who are underrepresented in our community. We have a historical heritage and ancestry in the arts, right? Which is a huge part of our being that we've, as a community, that we've kind of lost. And we kind of need to tap into that, and there already is a bit of a renaissance in that field. But to make it truly sustainable, you've got to create the demand for it, right? So there's the artists there that are kind of the supply side. So this is the economist coming out in me. But where's the demand? Where's the market that people are actually purchasing this artwork, that are actually supporting this artwork, right? Because that's the only way that you can create a truly, sustainable market and truly sustainable career for artists. And therefore, I've always worked to try and change that narrative, to say to people, it's more than just liking, sharing. You've got to buy the artwork. You've got to support those artists. And so even more so now that I'm always sometimes even quite aggressive in my tone, in the sense of if there's an emerging artist who's created a product or service, yeah, it's not good enough to just share it. It's not even good enough in my eyes just to buy one. You should be buying 5 or 6 and trying to create that market, because we are in a period of what I would call a renaissance in the arts that is just starting to emerge now, and we're at that crucial pivot point where it could either stagnate or it could fly upwards. And I want to see it fly upwards, and you can only do that through people supporting. Through actual supporting, putting your money where your mouth is, and actually creating that market. And these artists should be on the main platforms, on the main stages, on the global stages all around the world. And they need to be there, they should be there. They've got the quality, they've got the passion, they've got the artistic style, everything. They're the complete package. But they can't get to that point because necessarily the market isn't there. And if we want to see more around our culture, our history, our identity, then we need to support that. Because if we don't, then quite frankly, we won't get that. And we'll be relying on other individuals to tell our story and our narrative. And we should be owning our story and our narrative first. And arts is a great way to do that. And arts is also a great way to touch on a number of social issues. Arts allows people to talk about some of these challenging topics, like mental health, especially in communities that haven't historically talked about it, and can break down those barriers. It's a much softer entry point, right? If you see a piece of artwork that might be centered around mental health, you can spark that discussion, because you can spark that intrigue. Whereas if you just say, let's sit down, let's talk about mental health, it's quite difficult, right? Yeah. And so arts is a great way to talk about so many social issues. And even at Fliy, we really focus on some of these social issues, whether it's around gender inequality, whether it's around mental health, whether it's around poverty, or a whole host of other issues. Arts is a great way to tackle that. And I think this project is doing some fantastic work to help so many stakeholders. You're helping artists, you're creating an awareness on mental health. And actually the success for me will be in 2-3 generations, where there may be a small child who's picked up this book, or even a young adult who's picked up this book and realised, you know what, I can be an artist too. And that's what true success looks like, because you've created that organic ecosystem, you've created that organic market. So my closing words really would be, really go out, buy that book, support the book. Don't just buy one copy, buy multiple copies, whether it's for your friends, whether it's for your family, whether it's for your colleagues, whether it's for your local community groups, because there's a benefit to yourself in terms of your mental well-being. Whether you believe in it or not, just give it a go. You're supporting other artists, and you get to view some amazing artwork, and you get to understand a little bit around history and culture of the Sikh community, which is so important. So there's education, there's arts, there's mental well-being. There isn't a reason not to buy this book, and you should be buying multiple copies.
Harimandir Sahib, Golden Temple. Picture the glorious golden temple shining in your mind. What emotions and feelings will you find? Do you marvel at the structure that dazzles in the blazing sun? Or do you revel in contemplation as divine praises are sung? Do you enjoy the pool of sacred waters with mischievous swimming fish? Or grieve at the lives of thousands who sacrificed to protect your bliss? Be quiet. Be still, search deep within your heart, and once again you will reside in the golden temple of Amritsar.
So my dad is an architect, and he's a wildlife painter as well. So actually growing up, I was surrounded by just like people painting and, music and all sorts of arts. So I think my dad has actually been my biggest inspiration in terms of like the handwork. And I've always been into it anyway. So even at school, like I would, since actually grade 1 up until A levels, I would actually get like the art prize every year. And so that just became, it was just like a natural thing for me. It's just what I love to do. And then when it came time to go to uni, I actually applied to do optometry. So I went in for that, I did that, and that is actually when I realized that that was not my passion. Like I knew deep down inside what my true passion was, which was the arts. So after about 2 years of optometry, I actually let go of it. I quit. I was just a miserable person. So I got into the arts. So I transferred actually to Reading, and I studied graphic communication and design. And that is when I actually started illustrating and just expressing and just really getting into it. Because like school is very like, you know, homework, and like you have like extra classes and like PE and stuff like that. So I would never really have time to just sit down as myself and actually do something that I really wanted to do. Being in Africa, I think I have a lot of attachment to like just, you know, the flowers, the culture, just like, you know, patterns, African patterns. So that has been a big inspiration for me, especially because I just think it's just so beautiful. Like it's such a beautiful culture. And I decided to bring it into the illustrations I've done for the coloring book because I wanted to make the illustrations my own. So being from Africa, I wanted to have that a bit of a connection that would be fun to color, just something new for people to learn even. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily my style, but it's definitely been an inspiration. I feel like if you don't enjoy what you're doing on a daily basis for most of the day, you will be a miserable person because it's taking you away from who you truly are. And in terms of like doing artwork and stuff, for me, it's just kind of like an escape almost, just like a thing that I can do for myself and in my own time. And at the same time, just having an expression. So if you have something in your mind, like say like someone upset you about something, or you're angry at somebody, like it's a very therapeutic and healthy way of getting it out. I actually have a few people in my life that have mental health problems and have been through a lot in their lives. So I felt like it was my calling to do something to help. Especially because the first thing that went through my head was, okay, my style is like, okay, yeah, it can work as coloring book, absolutely, because the way I work is I do outlines anyway and then color it in myself. So I just thought it was like a perfect fit, and my chance to help in something that I've had experience with, and just knowing that my art, what I do, what I love, can change the world, was just like a calling. Yeah, so that did it for me basically. I think this project honestly has a lot in it. Not only does it help people with their mental problems, it's just a way of expressing yourself, just getting away for a little while, just doing something therapeutic, calming your mind down, especially in a time like this. I think this book has actually it's going to come out at the right time, because I know a lot of people are sitting at home either like bored or like going crazy, like I don't know what was going to happen now. So especially at a time like this, I think this book is really going to help people just calm down and get back into their flow of life, and at the same time educating people about the Sikh history. And it's just like a proud moment, you know, like we should be so proud of our stories and our heroes and our gurus. So I think it's got a lot in it that is gonna
put out to the world.
I am a piano. From the Italian origin of the word pianoforte, meaning soft but strong. It's ironic how much love you give out, but you don't give to yourself. I never found it ironic. Not when writing poetry was putting all the love I couldn't give to myself to good use. But that all changed when I realized I love someone enough to want to love myself too. Now I am a piano, I am soft but strong. But before that, I found myself with empty pens, notebooks filled with poems. I tucked pieces of myself into words. I had enough pages to stitch them into wings. Fly to the sun, so I could see my tears evaporate into steam until those tears covered my body like wax. Now I have thick skin. Now I am a piano, I am soft but strong. Soon I realized that everything beautiful doesn't have to have a consequence. And maybe I just needed to be in darkness for a while so I could see the stars. Now I am a piano, I am soft but strong. And even when I think about those times that my keys were out of tune, I actioned an escapement, a mechanism in a piano that allows the hammer to escape after a string has been struck, so leaving the string to vibrate, until I finally reached a frequency where I could play symphonies again. Now I am in harmony. Now I am a piano. I am soft, but I am strong.
So I guess this book actually means so much to me because it's something that I've always envisioned to always create, something that I can give back as a tool that has a part of me in it. This book, it means the world to me. I didn't know that my first book would be something to do with a tradition that I'm from and relating the wisdom and the knowledge and the teachings of something that are so dear to me, the spirituality and the wisdom and the mindfulness perspective with the arts and the creative part of me. Is amazing to actually feel that it's come together now. The arts has always been in my education and it's always been the one thing that I've really gravitated to. I've always had it in my soul, in me to be a creative. I'm also a yoga instructor and a meditation teacher, and I really embrace and want the world to know the goodness of these tools and how much happiness and fulfillment it can give you and peace of mind. Working with the team has been incredible. Working with amazing artists, I've been really blessed and lucky for the team to come together how they did. We have artists in Africa, Canada, America, and homegrown London. And it's been amazing for this project to become a collaboration project. The journey's been incredible, and everyone in the background and in the foreground has just done an amazing job, and I'm really happy. The purpose of this series of books is to bring to life spiritual, religious, and cultural teachings so we can relate with the teachings, make them practical, make them meaningful, and learn about our traditions, as well as enjoying the benefits of art therapy. And you don't have to be an artist, or you don't have to be suffering from mental health conditions to enjoy this book. Our initiative is to support and help those who may deal with mental health conditions. And plus, with every book that's sold, we're giving one book back to a child in a lesser privileged country and be recognized as a social good initiative. So this project's important to me because this is my life's work. Everything about helping others through their journey is really important. This is a book that helps everyone and anyone. You don't have to have a certain tradition, but you can pick up the book and you can learn about yourself. You can learn about tools to help you in your day-to-day practice. Your daily challenges, look at traditions that taught us the tools and gave us the solutions to get through life. For me, it's really about helping others on a greater and grander scale. This whole project has never just been about me, it's been about we, the artists, the community, the global social good elements we can do to help others. So 5 years ago, I put it out to the world on social media that I was going to write a book, and I never thought that my first book was going to be this Sikh art therapy book. But what a time it's come at, where people are now needing tools like this. People are needing something more and asking bigger questions about life. And we've been able to deliver something that hasn't been done before in the quality that is done. This book is actually very emotional, because when I first saw the book for the first time, I did feel like crying, because when I looked at this book, I was like, wow, this is something that I've worked really, really hard to create, not only for myself, but others. You know, I'm really, really grateful for everyone's support and help getting this project to where it is today. And I can never forget when we launched the Kickstarter campaign, everyone who supported the project and pledged, and I'm always and eternally grateful for everyone who's helped to this day. And I really do hope that you do enjoy the book.
How often do we forget the adult in the journey? How often do we forget that adults also need some downtime, some self-time? And also that, you know what, we've all got an inner child, yeah? So we all require to ignite and stimulate, and more importantly, engage our inner self. And this medium that's created through art therapy and the art therapy series that you've created, in specific the Sikh book, for me, immediately shone. And I realized that this is something that's going to be an eternal gift to this world. And all I felt was this overwhelming urge to offer my services and really assist you in taking this journey. We're delivering this book at a poignant time in history, not in your life, not my life, in history, in the history of mankind, with the current challenge we're facing with the COVID-19 and this consistent lockdown and the fear of contracting a virus that could be fatal. So this has led, if you ask me genuinely, into a second part of my attraction to this project, where, you know, actually identifying with self is very important. That, I believe, is the key. This book may give every single person who's using this as an adult or a child the opportunity to at least quieten their mind, relax their mind state, stop the fuzz, the distractions in the world. And I specialize in, I speak very humbly in that arena with psychometrics. This sits beautifully in sister space to that. So when we talk about therapies and things such as depression, such as loneliness within the household through this pandemic, being isolated, this is the tool that allows adults as well to be that child once again, to reconnect with self, the natural self, the DNA self. And for me, slowing the mind down within itself is a meditative process, a process that allows you to kind of just resonate with yourself, just to be with yourself. I think these are beautiful actions. You know, choosing the colors, selecting the imagery, reflecting, maybe getting one or two books to reflect different versions of the same image. You know, I showed this to my father, Randhir Singh Wahiwala, who is one of my icons of my life, my sort of like mentors, along with my blessed Bum Gurmeet Kaur Wahiwala, who's passed into the light in 2018. Both have had a significant value on my life, and for us, our service to our elders is the key. So I was just, would you believe this? My father right now, at this precise minute in time, is having a sciatic issue with their back. You know, they've got a sciatic nerve trapped. So I actually showed him this product, and I'm so waiting to get hands on this book. And we've started with other imagery so that we can keep their mind focused and driven. And Dad's in the mid-80s now. So I'm not talking about somebody who's childlike or somebody who, in essence, hasn't achieved in their world. I'm talking about somebody who's dedicated their life to change of others and has built multiple businesses, has mentored somebody as humble as myself in a humble respect. For them to see this and actually say, oh, that looks nice, that looks lovely, bahut hi khoobsurat, which means very beautiful renditions of the imagery that was delivered. So for me, I can't wait to get my first hand on a copy, Chaz, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I need to actually put that in front of my father, who, for us, is the apple of my eye. He just is, he's everything to us at the moment. Through their sciatic pain, they're medicated, they started to slow down a little bit. So I'm just giving you an example of the reality of life. You know, this is the kind of thing you want to buy for your parents, for anybody who's going through high medicational changes at this process to rebalance themselves. The pain is excruciating through sciatica. So what we're doing right now is we've been just downloading images, and my daughter has this coloring book. She already has an art therapy coloring book, which is only a small book. So this is next level. This is amazing. This is like 12 inches by 12 inches. This is like the biggest and most beautiful thing we could ever deliver. But it's a small book that has maybe 500 different images on there, on different pages. And Dad's actually been coloring in that. So we've been giving them felt tips and pens and the coloring. And what I've been noticing, this obviously, it's been 30 years worth of journey within my psychology journey. And I've been noticing the small muscle tensions and small body changes. And it's actually been taking their mind off their current pain. And it's allowed them to kind of coordinate color schemes that they want to do. You know, things that, does that fit with this? Does it not fit with this? So they're taking the mind off things such as the pain, the anger, the anxiety and aggression that builds with it, which Dad's not like that at all, but it allows you to take that and channel that energy somewhere else. For me, I can't wait to put this into my dad's hands and watch them create art pieces that, between yourself and I, you know, Dad's in the mid-80s, I would cherish for the rest of my days. And I want these images to become heirlooms to our family. Can you imagine them signing off at the bottom saying RSW and the date? For us, it's divine. It's divine. And for which I must say, Chaz, that's why I'm involved in your journey. Can you imagine receiving this at Vasakhi? Can you imagine receiving this at all of the tihars of the gurus, you know, our Gurbani itself? Can you imagine having 20, 30, 50 of these at an Akhand Path? And when people receive and leave, they leave with this, the mithai, you know, the sweets, and then you're handed a book like this at the same time. So for me, this is going to become, I believe, and I'd love it to become an integral part of giving at the time when you're trying to give with Shraddha, with selfless act, and really help people. But I'm just going to touch on it very quickly because I feel it's really, really important to clarify. This ultimately, for me, is a therapeutic book. And art therapy and how we can evolve our thinking. Obviously, it's not directly art therapy in the sense we're not running a process to take people through, but this is the first stepping stone for individuals to hark back to their inner child and inner light, so they can realign themselves. And no matter where you are in your life, no matter how good, bad, ugly your life has been up until now, this is the opportunity to leverage and to spend some time with yourself and give yourself that excuse, you know, and actually reset your life and take easy action steps from here onwards. Working with current culture, working with the Sikh book in specific at this precise minute as the board chair has been nothing but blissful. It's been a completely brilliant journey. Every single member of the team, and they're all mentioned in the group anyway, in the book itself, has just gelled. The art, the sheer shraddha from the artists and connection with Sukhpal Singh and people, the information that he's been sharing has just been absolutely ultimate and beautiful. So for me, this has gone into a historical time of my life. For me, it's been a very monumental period, a monumental project that we've delivered to this world. And for that, I thank you, Chaz, for bringing this to the world, and also each and every supporter out there today, in the past, and in the future. Anybody who's going to sit there and support us by buying this book and sharing it with their loved ones, just to help them. But I want to bring something really important out there about this book. This is a me time book. This is not about, I have a disorder, and if you do, this will help as well. This is about just giving myself a bit of me time. And my daughters, my children, my son, they use coloring. It's a vintage context, isn't it? Coloring, just to slow their brain down in the evening without having to rely on any digital principles. And it just helps them go straight to sleep and relaxes their brain. So this is what this is for. This is your daily kind of like connection to self.
Hi, I'm Amgola, and I'm an ambassador for the Colouring Culture Sikh Colouring Book Series 1. As young children, we're always colouring, we're always painting. Every single one of us picked up, a pencil, a paintbrush, and we forget as we get older and we grow up and our journey takes us another direction. But what is so important is that we go back to that inner child and we remember to take the time out to use that creativity, to use what we used to do, to enjoy that time, to sit down and to just paint, let our mind just explore. I'm really excited to be involved with colouring culture. Not only does it help build awareness of adults colouring and young children colouring, it's important to raise this awareness through colouring books. And this is the first of its kind, like literally the first of its kind, where we're educating culture within society, within our next generation. And that for me is just so exciting. For our mindset, for our mental health, we're in a time right now where it's so important we find tools, and colouring is a tool. Colouring for adults is a tool. It's really, really important to reconnect to that inner child and just let it out. And an example is that I actually stopped painting and colouring, a few years back. And during lockdown, I had all of this time and I kind of went back to it. I went back to colouring by numbers. A friend of mine bought me a present and I was like, oh my God, I actually miss this. Please share colouring culture with everybody you know. Let's build awareness. Let's build awareness and educate everyone around us, not just with mindset and mental health and tools that we can use, but educate each other with our cultures.
When people see me, I guess it's kind of like they wouldn't expect that I do the artwork that I do. I remember doing various exhibitions where there's Guruji artwork up that I've done, and people are looking at it, they love the artwork, but then they're wondering where's the artist, and I'm standing right next to it. They just they wouldn't assume that it's me, you know, especially the way I look. But I think that shows that no matter how we look as artists, we have a persona. You know, we can express any type of art we like.
Yeah.
And when I was really diving into actually getting into those styles of artworks, like the digital style of Indian artwork, really like merged with Islamic and Arabic styles, even stuff that is very Oriental, bringing that all together was something that really like defined what people saw in my artwork, you know, and now it's recognized as its own kind of style without having to even have my name on it. There's a lot of so many talented artists, and to be alongside them on this project was something where I feel like it's a nice big collab, you know, and it's somewhere where we can all really like show off the kind of different styles of what we do along this same subject line, like Sikh artwork, which we've all grown to be known for, you know, in our own stages in our own careers. So I couldn't let the opportunity pass. Like, it's brilliant.
What was nice is actually during our initial conversations, a lot of the artists have actually always said that they want to do something together. They've always said, oh, we got to work together, we've got to do a collaboration together.
But there's never been a point to really do that, you know. It's because we're always so busy with our own thing. But I guess you're the person that has brought us all into this project, which is nice.
Yeah, and it has been nice because everyone's been able to give their opinion, their own creative expression, and everyone's been collectively involved in the direction of how we basically present the book to the public.
Yeah,
So one of the reasons that we are creating a book is because we want to get the message of, you know, the importance of creativity within our community, within our culture, and the importance of mental health. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever dealt with any kind of mental health issues or you've ever talked about mental health, but what does it mean to you?
So I have experienced mental health issues very recently as well, last year. However, I was able to come out of that because of my art as well, you know, helping me kind of take my mind off of what I was thinking about. It was a hard journey because I had to find my feet again. You know, there's been moments where I felt like I call it a spark. It's my spark of creativity, and I've lost that at some points, especially during uni, which was a long time ago now. But when you kind of feel like you've lost touch with the one thing that keeps you going most of the time, that's hard to deal with, you know, because you're searching for that one thing. You're trying to like find it again. It's like rummaging through a pile of clothes to find your favorite top, you know. But and I've got loads of black t-shirts, so I'm fine for now, you know. So it's been tough, but art has always been the thing that I always come back to, and it's the one thing that has helped me excel and know that I have something to give. You know.
And why do you think that is? What is it about art and expression? What is that?
It's freedom for me. There's so much to be shown, and I always go by the fact of we illustrate for the future. We are game changers. You know, as creatives, we have the power to literally make people feel a certain way, you know, and appreciate something maybe they've never experienced before. And in doing that, we feel like we've made a difference, you know. I sometimes get the most amazing DMs from people who follow me, and that the artwork has spoken to them, or they've seen something, they've been able to relate to something in the artwork that is special, you know.
Cool. Talking about the artwork itself, you've contributed 3 to the project.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the reason you chose each one. Like, you know, in a nutshell, what was the reason behind each one? Because you have ample amounts of different pieces that you've created. Why did you choose these 3?
So I got to do the ones of a very iconic Maharaja Ranjit Singh, Maharani Jind Kaur, who I think is an amazing, powerful woman, and also the Guru Granth Sahib. So those 3 pieces, I feel like I haven't really gotten to show that as much as the kind of like time and I guess love that I put into those pieces. And this is the way that I felt like I could showcase it even more. I kind of fell out of doing Sikh artwork, and those were my most recent last pieces when I was doing Sikh artwork, and I still do it now. It's just not at the forefront of my artwork today.
Yeah.
So I felt like I could bring those back and really show people that these people can be portrayed in different ways, and also it will be noticeable that Maharani Jind Kaur is holding Maharaj Ranjit Singh's sword, which he would usually have in his lap. So that's something a little detailed to notice.
Why do you think people should be, involved in the project? Should they be, buying the book? Why should they share the book? Tell us what your thoughts are and what people can do to get involved.
So as a digital artist, I know that there's a lot of people who do digital artwork as well, and there's a lot of apps out there where you can also colour these beautiful illustrations. So hopefully you guys will be able to see how that can be done. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, and also I feel like it's important because people can express themselves through colour. Everyone has their own perception of how an image should be coloured or look. I very much love to go with the flow of when I'm doing a piece of artwork. If I just throw colour on there and I feel like it works, it works. I don't question it too much, and I want people to trust themselves in when they're colouring, they're feeling good about it, and they trust that what they've put down on the paper is something that they can be proud of.
By supporting colouring culture, not only will each and every one of us as individuals be able to open up our creative self-expression, but we collectively as a community can move forward in the ways that we explore and unpack and talk about mental health.
So what I tried to do with the copy was I wanted to bring the images to life. I wanted the image not to be something that was external, but something that you could then apply to your life. So we've got an image of a hawk, for example, and I knew that Guru Granth Sahib uses all of these analogies. I know it talks about to be like a bird, to fly like an eagle. It talks about how to be a horse that is controlled and heading in the right direction. And I knew Gurbani had a lot of these things, and I wanted to try and find those analogies and research them and bring them out. And so that when people were coloring in these beautiful images, they were also using that as an opportunity to reflect on, am I free like a bird? Am I riding like the horse? Am I self-controlled like the elephant? And I know all these examples are in Gurbani, and it was just about finding them, bringing them out, and then relating them, so that it's not a ancient wisdom, but it's something about a well-being wisdom. It's something about who you are. So making that connection between this ancient spiritual scripture and these beautiful images was something that I really try to keep in mind. What is the way that each image can be used as a reflection of what your mind is, and how your mind can be improved when you think like one of these images. I tell you, my most favorite image out of all of these is the image of Guru Arjan Dev Ji sitting on the hot plate, and he's radiating and he's smiling. And I knew that when you were doing one of these images, I knew exactly the verse that I wanted to bring, and it was a verse by Guru Das Ji where he talks about how during the worst torture, Guru Arjan Dev Ji demonstrated the highest level of spiritual wellness. He was calm, he was at poise, and he was at peace. And the very first line is, like a fish in water, the Guru remained in the stream of liberation. So the very first line of that analogy was this fish. And as soon as I saw the image, because I hadn't seen the image when I was compiling the writing, and I saw that the artist has these fish that's swimming around, and he didn't necessarily know that this was the verse that I was going to pick, but that synergy between those two really kind of made me smile, and I realized, wow, even the artists have really tried to understand the emotion and the feeling of every image. And when I saw how the example that I wanted to use from Gurbani had already been factored in with the artist, I mean, I knew that we'd hit something that was going to be really magical. There are many reasons why I feel people should support this project. The first is, this is a genuine attempt at bringing therapy and art to the Sikh world. This is connecting the practices of ancient spirituality using very modern techniques, the techniques that are out there already in the world. It's bringing those things to the Sikh world. Secondly, I love the fact that this actually supports the community as well. Every time you buy one of these books, it's going to be supporting children from sort of underprivileged communities. And I think that this is where we are really demonstrating that this is not just a profit-making exercise. This is really about doing what's best for mankind, doing what's best for the community, but also doing what's best for humanity. And I think that's a reason why I really wanted to support this project.
So I really hope that you enjoyed this show. We've heard from some fantastic people, and now we would love to hear from you. Please share our message, share this video, and let's work together to solve solutions. Let's not be the question, let's be the answer. Promoting better health is important, and encouraging creative thinking, which is a key skill which we need to guide our future. Colouring Culture is an initiative made by us for us, a collective of artists, educators and humanitarians who want to help others to live and experience a more beautiful world. Let us support each other and let us be the change that we've been waiting for. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone who's donated and contributed to the project. I would like to say thank you to all the artists, all the guests and all the ambassadors for backing the project and seeing its vision. I really want to hear from you. I want you to get involved. Please contact us if you would like to get involved. If you would like to know more about the book and the journey of Colouring Culture, feel free to contact us and we're here to help you. We would just like to say thank you and hope you've enjoyed the journey so far.
This is a community project, and I think that's something that's really special about it.
Sorry I'm late. I thought the meeting was at 12 for some reason.
Make sure it all flows. It's got kind of a sense of...
The kanda that we know today with the circles come down to midi-bidi.
So now that's what your index should look like. Nothing more, nothing less.
Nice to meet all you guys, and you guys are doing some incredible work.
We can hear you, but you're not even moving. You're still thinking. It's so hot in my room. I have no choice, honestly.
Someone that's like running around like, where's my head? Where's my head?
Just want to ask you, do you guys want to title your own illustrations? Cool. So the second link is the work in progress right now, but it gives you an idea of the format.
Okay, great. You can keep your title, but actually the short 1-2 line description.
So everyone meet Jaron. He's been our little undercover artist. Now he's showing himself for the first time. Let's look at customer research. The good news is obviously we've got ample time, but at the same time, I'm acting like there's no time.
Only thing I would say that I had a challenge with is actual history.
I don't know if I'm convinced whether it should be called adult colouring book.
So there's a lot of things that you read on the internet that kind of like contradict each other.
In Maharani Jind Kaur's background, you've kind of got the very flat old school Mughal style with Arabic elements in it.
Chaz, there's one point just about we talked about launch event now, whether it feels like it's increasingly likely it's probably going to be virtual.
Ooh. We just got I just created a mock-up of a sample of one page.
Hello, Mummy G.
Why do I get fruit now? Okay. No, I didn't have a match.
Our work takes 6 months to a year sometimes.
So I think having something along the lines of the colouring book is appropriate.
It's square in font is related to the actual journey that was discussed at the time in the image.
So it's a really special book and something that's really special to be a part of. So thank you for asking me to be on board.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
A book like this can make a huge difference.
Because it's a mission, isn't it, son? That's what you're doing. You're sharing your mission.
Hey everyone, I really want you to support the Sikh Art Therapy collection by Colouring Culture. I wouldn't get involved with a project if I didn't genuinely feel like this had the ability to change people's lives, to affect people, to bring mental well-being and wellness into your life. So this might have been something that you've never tried before. I know I've never picked up a book and started coloring it in. But when I looked at the images of this book, I thought this is exactly the thing that works for me. This is something that I would love to do in my spare time. It's something that I know my children are already excited about. They can't wait to get involved with this. But this isn't a children's book. This is a book for adults and children, people who are young and young at heart. This is really just about helping you to try and use whatever tools that are available, the tools of art, the tools of color, and giving yourself an opportunity to slow life down, to just take time for yourself, to reflect on your own life, reflect on how you're doing with life, and using the wisdom of ancient guru spirituality with the beautiful technique of art therapy. So I'd love you all to get involved with this. Please support this project. Go to coloringculture.com and order your copy today.